Okay, so this mahogany has decided to be a little bit of a challenge for this project. So I found a local wood shop that had a larger planer, and when we tried running it through it, we actually got a little bit of hop on the body because it was a pretty short piece, and there's just a slight tilt on the on this blank. And what happened was we ended up digging into it pretty decently. So what we're going to have to do is we're just going to sand this thing down. It's going to take a little bit longer, but we're going to meticulously sand this top down to level, measuring along the way until we get it exactly where we want it. So that's one of the downfalls of having a smaller shop is we don't always have the tools that are the size that we need. And sometimes it's just a little bit of creativity along the way, but that's part of the fun of it. So we're going to sand this down. I mean, if this was an instrument that was 100 years ago, we wouldn't have had any electric tools anyhow. We would have used hand sanders or actually planers to do this work. So we're going to use a little bit of technology to sand this down, and then I'll do some hand finishing to get it exactly where I want it, but it's going to come back around. Okay, let's measure this thing and find out how far we're going to need to get this down to make it completely true. We're going to have to remove quite a bit of wood on this, so I'm going to go ahead and change belts and we'll start eating away. I rotate quite a bit while on the sander so that we can maintain a even surface. While we have the sander out, I'll go ahead and start smoothing out some of our edges. We'll come back later and put some finish touches to all of this. One thing to always remember when you're using any kind of a sander, they create a lot of very, very fine sawdust. And we want that sawdust because down the road we're going to do a little bit of fill-in along our grain edges, or maybe we've got a spot that needs a little bit of filler. So instead of buying wood putties that are close to the wood that you have, why not save some exact color of the wood that you're working with? So later I can take this and mix it with some wood glue or resin, whatever I need, and I'll have the exact color of the lumber that I'm working with. Now that we're nice and true, level, we'll go ahead and start marking out our places we're going to start doing routing of. Next, I'll go ahead and draw out some locations for where we're going to be hollowing out the primary body and primary cavity. I'm hoping to have about 1/2 inch along the outside edge of this body. That'll give it quite a bit of resonance and good stability. Okay, now it's time to make a mess. It's going to take quite a while to get all this routing done, and I'm only going to go down about 3/8 of an inch at a time. If you go further than that, the router just has a tendency to jump and snag and does more destruction than it does trimming. We'll go all the way around the outside. That way we'll have a little bit of room in case our bit hops on us. We won't be destroying too much of the wood.
No matter how big of a dust collector you use, using a router is always a messy project. I like to put a sanding disc on a bench drill press, and that way I can go around all my edges and clean things up really nice. On to the electronics cavities. Next, I'll use a Dremel to clean up some of my edges, especially on these inside corners that are hard to get with that larger sanding drum. Now a little bit of hand sanding down in the corners. A few holes for our electrical component wires to pass through. And she's pretty much ready for a top.